Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to a game of throws in World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today's battle sees the return of I Sank Your Waifu in the British Tier 7 destroyer in what looks like the D-Day camouflage, HMS Jervis. This is my favourite type of throw, by the way, because you really cannot see where the throw is coming from right until the last second of the match. I'll say no more, because we are straying dangerously close to spoiler territory again. Let's have a quick chat about this ship. So I don't know if I'm famous for it, but I do tend to say that there aren't really any outstanding Tier 7 destroyers. And then of course everybody says, and rightfully so, well what about HMCS Hyder? And yeah, fair enough. Canada's fightingest ship is outstanding. And the Gadjimada's alright as well. But the rest of the Tier 7 destroyers, I mean, I don't think any of them are really bad, but none of them are particularly good. The Jervis, however, is alright. She's a big upgrade in just about every respect over her distinctly average predecessor, HMS Icarus, at Tier 6. She's armed with a fairly powerful gun armament, 6 120mm guns, in a double turret at the front, single turret at the rear configuration. She's also fairly stealthy. I Sank Your Waifu, who's about to sink somebody's waifu, has managed to get the stealth on this thing down to 6.4 kilometers, which isn't great, but it's only Tier 7. You don't get access to the stealth mod until Tier 8, so 6.4 kilometers is okay. And that decent stealth and these punchy guns means that he can actually get the drop on Japanese torpedo destroyers like the Akatsuki, and the Jervis is definitely not the kind of ship you want to get surprised by at close range when you're in a Japanese destroyer. So the Akatsuki very wisely smokes up. I Sank Your Waifu equally wisely pops his hydro because torpedoes. He is, however, still spotted, which is bad news. It's not the Akatsuki because he's inside the smokescreen. It's not the Fuso because he's on the other side of the smokescreen. There's somebody over there to the right, and it's probably an enemy submarine who's spotting him. Now he's closed in close enough that the Hydro has picked up the Akatsuki inside the smokescreen, and there it is, the first kill, and sure enough, there is a submarine. This is the point where he decides, yeah, it's time to get out of here. Pops the smoke, and rather than closing in and trying to get the submarine kill with the depth charges, he makes himself scarce. He's managed to go undetected again. He doesn't want to bug out too far though, because he is flipping this cap circle. So there's a combination of factors, some of which we've already seen, the punchy guns and the good stealth, that make the Jervis a really good close-in knife fighter. It's got that British destroyer smoke and hydro, so you'll note that he popped the hydro ages ago and it's still got 2 minutes left to run. British destroyer hydro is like that. It doesn't have a very good range, but it does last a very long time. It's sort of like the quintessential torpedo defense hydro, but it can be used offensively if you get close enough, which is something he just demonstrated against the enemy Akatsuki. The other thing is the smoke generator. He started the battle with 6 charges of smoke. He's used 1, but it's already dissipated, and this is a uniquely British destroyer thing. You get a lot of uses of the smoke generator, but each individual use doesn't last very long. He has, of course, divisioned up with a Udachi, who gets a much more conventional smoke, and the two of them are taking full advantage of that, as the Udachi is almost certainly about to get a torpedo kill on the Asturias, who is giving broadside to a Graf Spee, and for some bizarre reason seems to think that it's a smart idea to sail in a completely predictable straight line course right next to a smokescreen that contained not 1 but 2 destroyers. Newsflash. It isn't. So you've got this large combination of factors. You've got the punchy guns, you've got the good stealth, you've got the short duration but quick recharging and multiple use smokescreen and the short range self-defense hydro, all of which go towards making the Jervis a pretty respectable close-in knife fighter, and also help to make their underwhelming torpedoes slightly more usable. They're better than the torpedoes you get on the Icarus, and that's about all you can say about the Jervis's torpedoes. They do decent damage, around about 15,000 per hit, minus the torpedo damage reduction of whatever target you've just torpedoed. But the range isn't great, it's only 7 kilometers. and they're really slow. They're the sort of torpedoes. Oh, and of course, British destroyers get to ripple fire their torpedoes, launch them one at a time. So if you're accurate or good or just lucky, you can hit a target with every single torpedo that you launch. But they are the kind of torpedoes that you really do need to kind of get in close in order to use effectively. But that's fine, because the Jervis is the kind of destroyer that's built for getting in close. Either that, or you need to be facing an opponent who's completely oblivious to the fact that there are going to be torpedoes coming. Hello, Fuso. Yeah.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
It's so predictable, isn't it? Well, it's not enough to sink him, but he's leaving him to the Yadachi, and he's going after the submarine. The only thing he knows for sure about the Undine is that it was around the other side of this island. So he pops some blind depth charges. Remember, the Undine was undetected. He's got him. More or less exactly the same time that the Yadachi finishes off the Fuso. So, 2 cap circles, 300 points ahead. Well, they were 300 points ahead for a brief second. They just lost their own U-69. Depth charged by the enemy Scharnhorst 43. But they're still 1 kill ahead, and they have 2 of the 3 cap circles. The scores are flipped again, by the way. Waifu's team are actually the ones on 412 points, and the enemy team are on 170. Notice he took a quick look at the friendly Bayern there, who has not moved since the start of the battle. Yep, he's AFK. They are technically fighting 11 against 12 here. Take a quick look at the minimap. Have a look down at the far southern end of the map. You see the friendly Koenig? You see that huge cluster of enemy ships down at Cap Circle Alpha? There must be at least 6 of them over there. They've effectively done down to the south what I Sank Your Waifu and his compatriots have done up here to the north. Smashed the enemy, driven them before them, and heard the lamentation of their women. The Koenig is completely incapable of taking the hint. He's actually heading... Well, he was heading south and giving broadside to all at least 6 of those enemy ships, and then he's run out of south to head into, so now he's turning towards all at least those 6 enemy ships. So, yeah. He's the next one dead. I mean, they all literally have nothing else to shoot at but him. Yeah. His life expectancy is now measured in seconds. So they're about to lose another battleship. Which would be bad, because that would equalise the kills. And remember, they're already a battleship down because the Bayern is AFK. I'm also taking a quick look at the minimap slightly further to the north and guessing that we're about to... Yeah, sure enough, the Koenig's dead. But I think we're about to be a submarine down as well, because the U-69 looks like he's going after the enemy Serov, the carrier. Well, that's very brave of him. Remember, carriers get automated anti-submarine warfare. The carrier could be AFK and still sink the U-69. It's a brave submarine captain in this game that goes after an enemy aircraft carrier. Remember, they have automated damage control, so you can't get a sonar ping to stick on them. It's impossible to set them on fire. And they have automatic defences that take care of you. Oh, yep, he's been spotted. The carrier's just dropped patrol fighters on top of him, and the carrier wouldn't do that if he didn't know exactly where he was. I mean, it's a brave submarine captain in this game that goes after an AFK aircraft carrier, but when the carrier is not AFK, knows exactly where you are and where you're going. Yeah, we're about to lose the U-69. Anyway, back to I Sank Your Waifu. There are a couple of notable villains on the enemy team in today's battle. One is that Leningrad. The other is the enemy U-69, but for now it's the Leningrad. The Leningrad actually is another very good tier. It's funny how the good tier 7 destroyers are all premiums, isn't it? The Leningrad and the Hyder, yeah. The Leningrad is both typically and yet at the same time untypically Russian. Now, there wouldn't be any kind of torpedo threat from any other tier 7 or below Russian destroyer whose torpedoes only have 4-kilometer range, but whereas the Leningrad is typically Russian in that its guns are very good, it's extremely fast, it is untypically Russian in that its torpedoes have an 8-kilometer range. So Waifu not hanging around, even though he's got his hydro running, not hanging around inside that smoke screen, within torpedo range of a Leningrad. He did manage to get one torpedo hit on the Algerie. It's going to take more than that. I think it's going to be down to the rest of his teammates to take care of that guy. Waifu's just playing it a little cautiously for the moment. Skirting around. Looks like he's trying to respot that Leningrad. And the enemy U-69's around here somewhere as well, which is probably the only thing left on the enemy team that will actually outspot him. So, yeah. And you really don't want to get spotted here in a destroyer, even with the smoke ready to go. That's a lot of enemy ships. Although at the moment, yep, they're all concentrating on that Nagato. And I can't see him surviving for much longer either. Although surprisingly, the U-69 isn't dead yet. Still going after the enemy Serov. Still doomed to failure. Okay. Yep, the Nagato's gone down, and you've just been spotted. So that means it's either the Leningrad or the U-69. And there's an Omaha over there, and it looks like it was in fact the Leningrad. And the Omaha, it may just be tier 5, and it might be made of citadels, fuel and ammunition, but it's pretty dangerous when you're in a destroyer. It has a lot of 152mm guns. Oh, Waifu just got pinged by the U-69. He immediately damage controls that. You know, that U-69 is actually a pretty mean shot with his sonar pings. So that cancels any homing effect from the torpedoes that are coming in. The Leningrad's been chased. Wow, did you see? Like I said, that U-69 is a pretty mean shot with its sonar pings. He wasn't detected. That was a blind ping. And now, of course, it's going to stick, because his damage control's on cooldown, which means it's time to DD-mail the hell out of here, because things just got way too hot for comfort. Oh, that Omaha's looking like a juicy target, though. It's a bit risky. Might be worth the risk. He's probably going to get spotted, though, because the Scharnhorst 43 will see him, and you don't want to be caught within secondary gun battery range of a Scharnhorst 43 if you can possibly help it. So if you're going to take shots at the Omaha, you're going to have to use the smoke. Fortunately, it is about to come off cooldown. And not a second too soon, because the second he gets spotted, well, naturally, the Omaha opens up on him, and so does everybody else. And it's one hell of a volume of fire being directed in his direction. You can see the submarine back there is still pinging away at something. Unfortunately, his teammate in the Yadachi has just gone down. And the thing about submarine pings is that while you can clear it with your damage control's on a long cooldown. The submarine ping is not. The Algerie's gone down, that's reset the progress of the enemy team flipping the cap. Oh, and another blind ping from the U-69, and this time it's going to stick, because damage control's on cooldown. So it is once again time to get the hell out of here, because the homing torpedoes will be on the way. Fortunately, even though he can't clear the ping, although he can in a couple of seconds, damage control's about to come back up. He probably doesn't need to, because he can just duck in behind the island here. Oh, pinged him again. Right, there's the damage control. Oh, look at that. In a shocking turn of events, the friendly U-69 died going after the enemy carrier. The team is still 200 points ahead, though, but there's now only 4 of them against 7 enemies. We're talking about Jingles. There's clearly 5 of them according to the team list at the top. Well, yeah, but one of them's an AFK Bayern. So 4 of them against 7 enemies. Another brave move here, opening up on a Scharnhorst 43 within secondary gun battery range. Whoa, whoa, did you see the crossfire coming in there? But that's what this short duration, quick reload smoke is for. And it does have a... Oh, wow, the Omaha managed to survive. Oh, no, Graf Spee got him. Okay, good. And there's a very healthy spread of torpedoes, and I think, well, the first set are going to miss. I think, yep, that's 3 hits. Is it going to be enough? It is! And there's the high caliber award. Sadly, the Graf Spee, who did sink the Omaha, in turn got taken out by that pesky enemy U-69. The team are still a good, healthy 300 points ahead, but there's now only 3 of them left. I mean, that Bayern over there is 100% AFK. Now, while you could say, well, that Bayern's no use to the team, wow, that U-69, again, almost catching Waifu with a blind sonar ping. He's good. You could argue, of course, that being AFK the entire battle, the Bayern is no use to the team alive, but he is actually serving a purpose, because even an AFK ship can spot targets, and he's also serving as a distraction, particularly for the enemy October Revolution. He's going to be farming damage on the AFK Bayern when he could have been doing something useful instead. friendly carrier, very optimistically, never going to sink Leningrad with a single surviving torpedo bomber, but crucially did spot him for the Iandracht, who took the opportunity to remove a particularly annoying and troublesome and effective enemy team player. So the Leningrad's down. Waifu is now the only surviving destroyer in the battle, which is a huge bonus. But he can still, of course, be outspotted by that U-69. There's the Bayern. He's burning, which means the October Revolution has the broadside of an AFK battleship to shoot at, and he's firing high explosive. Whatever. The point is, he's not shooting at anybody who's actually taken part in the battle. So, 3 against 4. With any luck, the Almirante Cochrane is also going to go and farm himself some AFK Bayern hit points. Which would be nice, because it would mean he would vacate this cap circle, which he is currently flipping, which of course is why Waifu has sneaked in here. In order to... Oh! Okay, yeah. Got no charges of smoke left either, so this is bad. You're going to have to leave the cap circle to him. And hope that the enemy carrier ignores you. Now, the Cochrane is a dangerous opponent for any destroyer to face. But the thing is, well, one, he's flipping that central cap. And he doesn't even have to flip it, he just has to prevent the team from getting any points by contesting it. 2, the team are at 930 points. The enemy team are trailing by 300. They sink this guy and they've won. But they need to sink him, and Waifu needs to stay alive before the October Revolution finishes farming free damage on the Bayern, because the loss of the battleship will buy the enemy team some breathing space. A little bit of assistance, yet help has arrived in the shape of the Iandracht. Airstrike went in, missed by a couple of ship lengths, but he's scoring hits with the guns. 951 points. A cruiser kill at this point will basically win the match. They need to kill the Almirante Cochrane. Here comes the Seraph. Come on guys, you've got this. 957 points. Come on, take him down. It's 2 on 1. And that's when the enemy team sink the Bayern, and it's the U-69 again, killing him with torpedoes and resetting the points back down to 930. Come on, take this guy out. Take him out. We need a... Well, we get a kill, and when I say we, I mean the Almirante Cochrane kills the Iandracht, resetting the points back down to 920. And then to make matters worse, with all 3 of them, the strike aircraft from the carrier, the surviving strike package from the Iandracht, and a parting salvo from the rear 120mm gun turret on Waifu's destroyer isn't enough to sink him. And the Almirante Cochrane is an extremely rare tier 6 cruiser, because it gets a heal. And with just slightly more than 4,000 health left, it is way too dangerous a target for Waifu to go after. But notice what the U-69 has just said in chat. It's boring to win on points by flags. And it's been a hot minute since the U-69 torpedoed and sank the AFK Bayern. So Waifu, with his spider sense now tingling, turns. He's leaving the Cochrane alone because he can't contest that central cap. They still have the 1 cap circle over at Charlie. And at the moment it's uncontested. Hydro's running. See, there are no really good choices that he can make here. It's extremely dangerous for him to go after the Almirante Cochrane, who has managed to flip that central cap at Bravo. It's also extreme, and he's spotted. That must be the U-69. Remember, we saw the Bayern burning earlier, which means the October Revolution's probably been firing high explosive the entire match, and sure enough, he's firing high explosive now, turns to avoid it, manages to dodge, also dodges the sonar ping. The U-69 is down there. Waifu needs to pray that the U-69 doesn't slip into that cap circle. He also needs to pray that the Seraph misses with this strike aircraft attack. Oh, and he's been pinged. There goes the damage control. Negates any homing torpedoes. He's at 988 points. The enemy team need to kill him. Unfortunately, now he must get a kill because the U-69 is inside the cap circle and it's on the surface. It has to be on the surface in order to contest the cap. The Hydro's running. Long duration, but short range. He and the U-69 are now so close that they're going to detect each other even without the use of hydro. They're both inside minimum assured detection range. But when all the U-69 needed to do was stay on the other side of that island, keep Waifu spotted and wait for the Cochrane, the Carrier and the October Revolution to finish him off, he thought it was a good idea to choose violence and go up against a destroyer in a submarine on the surface. Because it's boring to win by points. Well, he almost got his wish. I mean, he definitely had an exciting conclusion to that battle. He just didn't win. So I sank your waifu with 4 kills, 2,442 base experience, and a last-second win, thanks almost entirely to the enemy U-69, who up until that point had been playing extremely well, but then suffered from a sudden, inexplicable, and definitely fatal rush of shit to the brain. Hope you all enjoyed it. Waifu, always a pleasure to see you, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.